My name is Isla Myers. I'm 31 years old. And the relationship that ended my last 2 months didn't collapse in a fight or a betrayal or even a raised voice. It ended with a question. We were walking out of the restaurant, one of those places with soft lighting and polished concrete floors, the kind that tries very hard to feel important. The valet stand was busy, people laughing, keys clinking, engines humming. Normal. Comfortable. Jason stopped before we reached my car. He looked at it for a second longer than necessary. Then he turned to me and said casually, like he was asking the time, "Is this a rental?" I didn't answer right away. He added, smiling thinly, "Because if it is, I'm not really interested in wasting my time." That was it. No yelling, no scene, no dramatic pause with violins in the background. Just a sentence that told me everything I needed to know about how he saw the world, and me inside it. I looked at him, really looked. The tailored jacket, the practiced confidence, the way his eyes were already calculating what I might say next. I smiled. "Good night, Jason," I said. I unlocked my car, got in, and drove away. In the side mirror, I saw him still standing there, confusion replacing entitlement. He didn't wave, didn't shout. He just watched me leave, like someone realizing too late that they'd bet on the wrong hand. The next morning, my phone told the rest of the story. 21 missed calls, all from Jason. They started just after midnight and grew closer together as dawn approached, like panic accelerating in real time. There were texts, too. The first few were sharp and offended. "What was that about last night? You didn't have to be rude. That was uncalled for." Then confusion crept in. "Are you okay? Did I say something wrong?" The last dozen were pure desperation. "I'm sorry. Can we talk? Please don't do this." I read them all without feeling angry. Mostly I felt tired. I made coffee. I fed my cat. I got ready for work. Jason and I had been seeing each other for just under 2 months. Long enough for habits to form, long enough for patterns to reveal themselves if you're paying attention. And the truth was, the red flags had been there the entire time. He always commented on other people. Their clothes, their cars, their neighborhoods. Not observations, judgments. Everyone was being ranked. My friends noticed it. My older brother Colin noticed it immediately. "He's measuring you," Colin had said once, "not meeting you." I ignored that. Because Jason was charming. Because he knew the right restaurants. Because he made me feel briefly chosen. Until he didn't. For the record, the car is a 3-year-old Lexus. Clean, reliable, paid off. Mine. But it was never about the car. It was about the moment I realized that to him, I was only valuable if I fit a certain image, and that image could be revoked at any time. That realization settled quietly in my chest as I drove to work that morning. And I didn't know it yet, but that quiet decision, the one I made without raising my voice, was only the beginning. By lunchtime, the missed calls stopped. Not because Jason had calmed down, because he'd switched strategies. I was in a meeting when my phone lit up again, this time with a different kind of message. Not rage, not pleading, something sharper. "You're really going to act like this? After everything?" I didn't respond. I kept my face neutral while my coworker talked about quarterly numbers, but inside, my mind kept drifting back to that curb outside the restaurant. Jason's voice, light and casual, like he was testing the quality of a product. If it is, I'm not wasting my time. 2 months with him had taught me one thing. Jason didn't apologize because he understood. He apologized because he wanted access back. Access to my attention, my patience, my life. And, as I was about to remember very clearly, access to something else. Here's the part I didn't tell anyone at first. Jason lived in an apartment building my family owned. Not some luxury high-rise or a corporate investment portfolio, just a small, 6-unit brick building my grandfather bought decades ago, back when the neighborhood was quieter and parking wasn't a daily war. My family never acted like landlords in the dramatic, power-tripping sense. We didn't hover. We didn't squeeze people. We kept rents reasonable, fixed things on time, and treated tenants like human beings. We also didn't manage it ourselves anymore. That job belonged to Mr. Henderson. If you've ever met a retired cop who still carries himself like he's on duty, you'll understand Mr. Henderson instantly. He was in his early 70s, stiff-backed, blunt, and immune to charm. The kind of man who didn't waste words and didn't tolerate nonsense. He'd known my grandfather. He'd known my father. He'd known me since I was a kid with scraped knees and a permanent attitude. When Jason was looking for a place a couple months back, he'd complained nonstop about prices, about standards, about how he refused to live somewhere that didn't match his image. And like an idiot, like someone still trying to prove she was worth staying with, I'd pulled strings. I asked Mr. Henderson to give him the friends and family rate. It was a verbal favor, not written into his standard lease, nothing illegal, just a discretionary discount. About $400 a month off market. At the time it felt small, kind even. Now it felt like a quiet humiliation I'd handed myself. That afternoon, I sat at my desk long after my coworkers left for lunch. I opened my email, searched the old thread from when Jason first moved in, and found it. A message from Mr. Henderson titled, Lease, Unit 4A, signed. I clicked the attachment. And there it was. Jason's name, his signature, the standard clauses. Clean, impersonal, official. I read it slowly, not like a woman in her feelings, but like someone finally treating the situation like what it was, a loose end. 10 minutes later, I called Mr. Henderson. He picked up on the second ring. "This better not be about that boyfriend of yours complaining again," he grumbled. I could hear a TV in the background. Morning news, probably. Last time he called me, he acted like the building owed him a view. I didn't smile, but something in my chest loosened. "It's Isla," I said. "Got a minute?" "For you, always." His voice shifted, still tough, but warmer. "What's going on?" "It's about Jason," I said, keeping my voice steady. "We're not seeing each other anymore." A beat of silence. Then, "Well, took you long enough." I exhaled slowly. "I need you to do something for me," I continued. "I need you to bring his rent back up to the full market rate, effective at the earliest possible date, according to the lease." Another pause, longer this time. "You sure?" he asked, and it wasn't doubt. It was him checking that I meant it, that I wasn't calling in a storm, only to regret it when the weather cleared. "I'm sure," I said. "The discount was a personal favor. It's over." Mr. Henderson's tone turned business again, like a switch had flipped. "All right. Lease says we need to provide 30 days written notice for any rent adjustments tied to concessions." I heard papers shifting, like he already knew where the clause was without looking. "I'll draft the notice today. Section 4B, rent and other charges. It's boilerplate, but it's solid." He paused. "I'll date it today and post it on his door this afternoon." "When does it take effect?" I asked. "November 1st, he said. "That's the first clean cycle after notice." "Thank you," I said quietly. "I appreciate it." "Don't mention it," he replied. Then, more softly, like a man admitting something he didn't say often. "Never liked him." I blinked. "He always acted like he was doing me a favor by paying rent," Mr. Henderson continued. "Which, by the way, he's been late twice. Not egregious, but enough to tell you what kind of man he is." Late twice. I filed that away. We ended the call, and for the first time since that curb outside the restaurant, I felt something close to relief. Not joy. Relief. A problem identified. A solution executed. No drama required. That evening, I made dinner and tried to settle into something normal. I put on a movie. I let the quiet of my apartment fill up the space Jason used to occupy. At around 7, my phone buzzed. A text. From Jason. "You've got to be kidding me." I didn't move. Another buzz. "A rent increase? Seriously?" Then another. "This is because of last night, isn't it? You're doing this to punish me." Another. "This is insane." I watched the movie like I hadn't heard anything. A minute later, he called. I let it ring until it stopped. Voicemail came through immediately. I played it. His voice wasn't apologetic anymore. It was sharp, loud, unfiltered. He accused me of being petty, vindictive, cruel. He said I was trying to make him homeless. He said the extra $400 a month would ruin him. It was theatrical, like he was performing for an invisible audience. When it ended, I deleted it. The silence returned like a blanket. 2 days later, the next front opened. Our mutual friends. A guy named Dylan had introduced us. Trivia nights, barbecues, birthdays. Jason had slipped into the group like he belonged there, like he'd always been part of my life. Thursday morning, my phone buzzed again. A message from Dylan. "Hey, what happened with Jason? He's blowing up the group chat saying you went psycho." I stared at the screen for a moment. Of course he was. Jason didn't lose quietly. He needed a story where he was the victim and I was the villain. I typed back. "I didn't go psycho. I ended a date. That's it. Ask him why." Dylan replied, "He's saying you abandoned him in a bad neighborhood at night and have been harassing his landlord." I actually laughed, one short, humorless sound. Harassing his landlord. Mr. Henderson was 70 years old and had once scolded me for sitting on the hood of my grandfather's car when I was 12. If anyone was being harassed, it wasn't Jason. I texted back. I left him outside a 5-star restaurant in the safest part of the city after he insulted me. Mr. Henderson is basically family. Dylan paused a minute, then, "What did he say?" This time, I didn't soften it. I typed the line word for word. He asked if my car was a rental because if it was, he wasn't wasting his time. There was a long gap. Then Dylan. Oh, wow. Okay. That's bad. I could practically see the shift in his mind. The moment it clicked. Because that line wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was who Jason was. But in the group chat, one I wasn't even in anymore, Jason was already painting his masterpiece. A friend named Sophie sent me screenshots. Jason claiming I was unstable, that I had anger issues, that I was punishing him because he set boundaries. It was almost impressive how quickly he rewrote reality. Sophie texted, Isla, you need to defend yourself. People are starting to believe him. I stared at that message for a long time. I could feel the old instinct, the one that always used to get me in trouble, rising in my chest. The urge to explain, to justify, to prove I wasn't the monster someone else described. But I knew arguing in a group chat was useless. Jason was better at drama. He thrived in messy rooms where truth and performance looked the same. I needed something simpler, something undeniable. So I went back to my call log from Monday morning, and I took one clean screenshot. 21 missed calls, all from Jason, all between 12:08 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. A wall of desperation. I sent it to Sophie with one line. Add me to the chat for 1 minute. She did. The group chat loaded. Names, messages, chaos. I waited for a lull. Then I posted the screenshot. No caption. No argument. Just the evidence. For 2 full minutes, the chat went silent. Then someone named Ethan typed, Whoa, 21 missed calls? Then Dylan. That's not the vibe of someone who was abandoned and scared. And right on cue, Jason started typing. 3 dots. A flood coming. I watched those dots pulse like a heartbeat. And before he could send his next story, I typed one sentence. I'm not going to argue. Believe whatever you want. Then I asked Sophie to remove me again. As my phone went quiet, I felt the same clean relief I'd felt after calling Mr. Henderson. Because Jason could lie, but he couldn't erase what people could see with their own eyes. And I thought, naively, that would be the end of it. I was wrong, because the one loose end Jason still had in his hands wasn't rent. It was something of mine, something he never should have touched in the first place. I didn't think about the watch at first. That's the strange part. For days after the group chat imploded, my mind kept replaying the obvious things. The curb outside the restaurant, the missed calls, the rent notice sliding under Jason's door like a quiet verdict. The watch lived somewhere deeper, a locked drawer in my memory I didn't open unless I had to. And then one morning, while I was brushing my teeth, it surfaced. Clear, sharp, heavy. It had been my grandmother's. Not flashy, not loud, just elegant in the way things used to be when they were made to last instead of impress. Slim gold band, simple face, no diamonds, no branding you could recognize from across a room. But it was hers. She wore it every day until her hands started shaking too much to fasten the clasp. After she passed, my mother had all the family jewelry appraised for insurance. This watch was listed with a replacement value just under $5,000. But the money was irrelevant. You can't insure history. About a month into dating Jason, we'd gone to a charity gala, one of those events where people pretended to care about causes while quietly networking. Jason had been stressed all afternoon. I've got the suit, the shoes, the whole look, he'd said, pacing my living room. But I'm missing something. Accessories matter at these things. I should have said no. Every instinct in me hesitated. But he'd smiled that smile, warm, persuasive, practiced. You always say you don't wear jewelry, he'd added. Just for the night? I'd gone to my bedroom, opened the drawer, and handed it to him. Be careful, I said. He kissed my cheek and promised he would be. I believed him. Now, standing in my bathroom weeks later, toothpaste drying at the corner of my mouth, I felt a cold awareness slide down my spine. I hadn't gotten it back. I grabbed my phone and searched our old texts. There it was. Me. Hey, don't forget my grandma's watch next time we see each other. Jason. It's in my jewelry box. I'll bring it. Promise. That next time never came. I typed a new message. Jason, I need my grandmother's watch back. Let me know when I can pick it up this week. His reply took almost an hour. I'm really busy with work, and honestly, I don't feel comfortable seeing you right now. You've been very hostile. Hostile. I stared at the word, stunned by the audacity. I typed back, slower this time. I'm not asking to meet. I'm retrieving my property. You can leave it with the doorman, or I can come by when you're home. It'll take 5 minutes. The reply came faster. I'm not sure where it is. I think I might have misplaced it. Misplaced. That single word did something physical to me. It tightened my chest, sharpened my thoughts, burned away whatever lingering softness I still had left. You don't misplace a family heirloom. You hide it. You leverage it. and suddenly everything about Jason made sense all over again. I didn't respond. Instead, I called my brother. Colin picked up on the first ring. "What did he do now?" he asked. I explained slowly, precisely. By the time I finished, Colin was silent. "Then, I told you." "I know," I said quietly. "This isn't a text conversation anymore," he continued. "This is a retrieval. He says he lost it." Colin laughed once, short and sharp. "No, he didn't." There was a pause. "Here's what we're going to do," he said. "We're going over there." "He won't let us in." "He will," Colin replied. "People like him care deeply about appearances, especially in their own building." Before we left, Colin did something I hadn't even thought of. He opened Jason's social media, and there it was. A photo from 3 days ago, brunch with friends, mimosas, smiles, and on his wrist, clear as day, was my grandmother's watch. Colin saved the photo, making sure the timestamp was visible. Then he made another call to our mother. Within an hour, she emailed over the scanned appraisal document, the serial number, the description, the value, its origin as part of my grandmother's estate. Colin printed everything. He stacked the papers neatly. "Now," he said, grabbing his jacket, "we have facts." We drove to the building just after dinner. The lobby smelled faintly of cleaner and old wood. Familiar. Grounding. I buzzed Jason's unit. "Who is it?" His voice crackled through the speaker. "It's Isla," I said calmly, "and my brother." Silence. "We're here for the watch," I added. "We're not leaving without it." Another pause. "I told you I don't know where it is," he snapped. "Buzz us in," Colin said, voice steady, unyielding. "Or we can talk down here. I'm sure Mr. Henderson wouldn't mind joining us." The lock buzzed immediately. Jason opened the door just a crack. Sweatpants, a scowl, defensive posture already locked in. "What do you want?" he demanded. "The watch," I said. "I can't find it." Colin didn't argue. He simply held up his phone and showed him the photo. Jason's face drained of color. "That doesn't prove anything," he stammered. Colin then lifted the appraisal paperwork. "This does," he said. "That watch is a documented family heirloom with a verified value. We have proof you were wearing it after claiming it was lost." He met Jason's eyes. "This is no longer a misunderstanding. This is theft." Jason looked between us, his mouth opening, then closing. No audience, no group chat, no story to spin. Just facts. He shut the door without a word. A minute later, it opened again. He shoved the watch into my hand. "Happy now?" he hissed. I checked the clasp, the face, the band. "Undamaged." "Yes," I said quietly. "Thank you." We turned and walked away. I didn't look back. The weight of the watch in my pocket felt heavier than gold. It felt like an ending, or so I thought. For a while after that night, everything went quiet. Not the dramatic kind of quiet. No explosions, no confrontations, no last messages sent at 2 a.m. Just absence. Jason didn't text again, didn't call, didn't try to clear the air. The watch had been the last thing tying him to me, and once it was gone, so was his leverage. A week later, Mr. Henderson called. "Just giving you a heads up," he said. Jason didn't renew his lease. I leaned back in my chair, phone pressed to my ear. "Did he fight it?" I asked. Mr. Henderson snorted. "Oh, he tried, complained about the rent increase, threatened legal action, the usual noise." "And?" I pointed to the lease he signed, Mr. Henderson said calmly. Explained the notice period, the clause, the math. Told him I was acting on the owner's instructions and following the contract. I could picture it perfectly. Jason gesturing, posturing, realizing too late that charm didn't work on someone who didn't care what you thought of them. "He didn't have much to say after that," Mr. Henderson finished. "New tenants already lined up. Young couple, happy to pay market." "Thank you," I said. "For what?" he asked. "For handling it cleanly." "That's the only way I handle things," he replied, and hung up. The friend group didn't explode the way Jason probably hoped it would. It just fractured. A few people sided with him, or maybe they just didn't want to admit they'd believed him at first. Most went quiet. Dylan reached out. Sophie, too. We started seeing each other separately. Coffee instead of group chats. Smaller conversations without the noise. It felt lighter, less performative. And slowly my life expanded again into the space Jason used to occupy. I slept better, thought clearer, laughed more easily. Which is why, when I saw him again, it surprised me how little I felt. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was sitting at a small table by the window of a coffee shop, book open, latte cooling beside me. One of those moments where nothing was wrong and nothing was demanded of me. Then a familiar car pulled into the parking spot outside. A brand new Mercedes. Glossy, immaculate. Exactly the kind Jason used to point out on the street, his voice always edged with admiration and envy. He was in the passenger seat. The driver was a woman in her late 50s, well-dressed, expensive haircut, impatience written into the tight line of her mouth. They argued as they got out. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. Her gestures were sharp, dismissive. Jason's posture was smaller than I remembered, shoulders slightly hunched, hands open in a placating way. She said something that made him flinch. Then she pointed toward the bank next door, shook her head, and walked off, leaving him standing there by the car. Jason sat back down in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. For a brief second, our eyes might have met through the glass. I'm not sure. What I know is this: I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel sorry. I felt detached, like watching a pattern repeat itself from a safe distance. He'd found someone with a bigger wallet, and the same imbalance. I finished my coffee, paid, and stood. To get to my car, I had to walk right past the Mercedes. Jason was looking down at his phone now, jaw tight, scrolling like someone searching for reassurance that never quite arrives. He didn't see me. I got into my Lexus, the same one that started all of this. The engine turned over smoothly, familiar, reliable. Mine. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I caught a glimpse of the Mercedes in my peripheral vision, perfectly still, waiting for someone else to decide where it would go next. I didn't look in the rearview mirror, because some chapters don't deserve one last glance. A month passed, then another. Life didn't snap back into place the way movies like to pretend it does. There was no triumphant montage, no sudden realization that everything had been leading to something better. There was just steadiness. And for the first time in a long time, steadiness felt like freedom. Mr. Henderson called once more near the end of October. Jason moved out yesterday, he said. Didn't leave the place a mess, I'll give him that. But he rushed it. You can always tell when someone's being pushed by something. I didn't ask what. I already knew. New tenants move in Friday, he continued. They brought cookies. First good sign. I smiled at that. Thanks for letting me know. No problem, Isla, he said. Your grandfather would have approved of how you handled all this. That meant more to me than he probably realized. The friend group settled into a quieter shape. Some people drifted away, others stayed. Not because they took sides, but because they recognized patterns when they finally saw them laid bare. Dylan apologized again, more sincerely this time. I should have trusted you, he said over coffee one afternoon. I got caught up in the noise. It happens, I replied, and I meant it. What mattered was that I hadn't had to shout to be heard. The truth had done its job on its own. One evening, while reorganizing my apartment, I opened the drawer where I'd placed my grandmother's watch after getting it back. I picked it up carefully, the way she used to. The gold was warm against my skin. I fastened it around my wrist and held my arm up to the light. It didn't make me look richer. It made me feel rooted, like a quiet reminder that some things don't need to prove themselves to anyone. They just endure. I thought about Jason once more after that, not with anger, not even with curiosity, just understanding. He'd lived his life measuring worth in reflections, in surfaces, in what other people could give him. And the problem with that kind of life is that it never stabilizes. There's always someone with more, always another upgrade, always another transaction waiting to replace you. That night I went for a drive. No destination, just movement. The city lights blurred past as I merged onto the highway, the familiar hum of the engine steady beneath me. The car didn't care who I was trying to impress. It responded because I took care of it. Because it was mine. And that, I realized,